Three collectors from three different perspectives come together for a weekly show that catches you up on the hobby you love. Hobby news, hobby drama, insider talk, and everything from collecting, investing, and selling. Welcome to Inside the Hobby.
Hey, I'm Ryan, Mindcycle Cards. Welcome to Inside the Hobby, Episode 7.
I'm Brian, Gray Street Sports Cards, and welcome to Inside the Hobby, and we are the show that brings the boys to the yard with our milkshake.
I don't even know what to say after that one, Brian. Let's get started. We got a bunch of weird, funny, dumb, entertaining stuff to talk about today. So
I just had to play homage to our wonderful fans from a few episodes ago.
You know, when I said do something like sporadic, just spur of the moment, I did not expect to follow that. So I couldn't have possibly followed that. What do we got going on? What's the first thing that we're covering today, gents?
All right, so for today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Kurtz Card Care situation that's kind of gone on and our opinions about it. And then we're also going to do a little bit of Fanatics Live Collectors Club and kind of some of the impacts of gambling on the hobby, all kind of rolled into one. Also, a little bit of some greening card effect on how that can happen with your cards from the early 90s from that. Then we go into the NBA Hall of Fame nominee class and talking about who's been nominated and things like that, who we think will probably get in, what that means for the hobby, and then wrap it up with our mailbag as always.
Cool. We got 2 mailbags too.
Nice.
So first thing, good old Kurtz Card Care. Hey, you know what they say about opinions? And certain bottoms. Everyone's got an opinion. I know. Man. I kind of know what both of your opinions are as well. I don't think I've ever stated mine, but yeah, good times, gents.
Yeah, you go first, Frank.
This is a big clash in the hobby right now.
We got to know your opinion.
It is. There's a lot of people like talking about it. You've got some on the side of saying it's fine, others that are going on the side of saying it's altering cards, and and then there's people in between trying to figure out which side to join at the moment. So I think 3 collectors talking about it will probably be a little different than most of the influencer side that's been on this kind of saying it. But even some of the videos I've seen, what I've noticed with most people is they've said the kind of the same thing of like cleaning a card, like getting the human impact of what's on the card off. Most people are kind of like okay with like removing fingerprints and things like that. If you accidentally spit a little bit when you were talking, it got on the card and you rub that off of there, kind of a thing. But when it gets to that
microfiber cloth,
yeah. But when it gets to the chemicals, is where everybody kind of starts to go, isn't that altering?
Yeah.
I know.
Or these these edgers where they slide them down the edge to try to fix it.
Doesn't he do something where he soaks the cards too and represses them to get like wrinkles out and stuff? That it's like, that's 100% altering the card.
Yeah, and that's the strange thing to me is that, I did a couple videos on this actually, is PSA is telling us that this is not allowed. Yet people want to argue and fight about it and say, well, it's fine, and they can't detect it, so it should be fine. But they've come out and stated that that is in fact altering. So it's kind of a silly argument to make. And I get that for the individual, that's maybe they're okay with it, but you can't alter your cards and expect PSA to be cool with it. And they basically said that they're not. So, again, in my opinion, wiping it down like this with a microfiber cloth like we're seeing on the screen,
well,
that's
he's using the juice right now.
Oh, does he have the spray on there now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I fast forwarded a little bit here, and now he's
Okay.
wiping the wax off. I mean, you know what? I would be interested. Everyone's thinking about like, oh, what is Kurt really using, or what is this other guy really using? I'd be curious to find out what he's actually using. Not because I would want to use it, but just to find out. Because I mean, that's his whole business. So if he didn't know his business, I don't know. Or if people didn't have to go to Kurt's and they knew what it was, they wouldn't have to go to Kurt. And I'm not out here trying to like take somebody's business away to give that as an example. Like I'm not going to make it a goal to like go out and try to figure out what it is. But I mean, some levels of turtle wax or plastic wax, like a Novus 1, like the Novus 1, 2, and 3 steps, car waxes. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. So
I wonder if
knows?
it's something like peanut oil. Because if you remember, like when you had a CD that was scratched, for those of us that know what CDs are, you would use like peanut butter and you could spread it on the side of a scratched up CD and that would fill in the gaps because peanut oil would actually fill it in.
Could you also do that with toothpaste?
Yeah.
I think people did that with toothpaste on CDs and DVDs too.
Yeah. The only reason I would say peanut oil is because I would think like of actual like vegetable oil or like a fruit or nut oil would be more organic and therefore maybe not long-term effect worry, where toothpaste has a lot of chemicals that I'd be like, that might just eat away the card eventually.
If you would have asked me 15 years ago if I would be talking about people putting chemicals on their cards, I would be so mind blown. And it's all because people want graded 10s.
Yeah.
It's an obsession, man. And I think you're right to bring up what's in this stuff because we don't know, and you don't know the long-term effects, and that's a bit scary because what if 5 years from now your wonderful PSA 10 that you paid thousands of dollars for suddenly starts peeling or starts turning green, like we're going to look at in some of these cases where, older finest and chrome cards turn green or whatever.
What we're going to talk about a little later today.
And I think that's PSA's whole point. Really, in my opinion, is like they're not telling you, hey, this is okay to do, this certain substance is okay to put on cards, because they know you can't really ever know for sure if this is going to have some kind of long-term effect of the card, right?
Right. So I mean, you're Ryan Mindcycle, you are primarily like, you're kind of like me. You barely sell anything. You are almost all collector. Yeah. And you definitely care about the preservation of cards. Obviously, you're not huge on grading. I only like grading because of the preservation standpoint and the easy labeling for other people. I don't really care that much about a number, and I like them. They stack, they fit in nice boxes, they're perfect for me. Especially since I only do like Hall of Famers. I don't do like full sets of stuff. So, or primarily Hall of Famers. But, I mean, and Brian, you sell a little bit and you fund your collection with what you will sell. And neither one of none of us three, I should say, are the type to grade cards, to grade stuff ourselves. Either because we don't prefer to or because whatever reasons. I'm guessing that we're all of the same opinion that we would not want to own cards that we knew had been given a Kurt's Card Care treatment, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, the little bit of submission that I do for some things that I resell, like, I'm the same way of, like, what we talked about. Take a microfiber, get my fingerprints and stuff like that off of it, because I know that those will get graded down because it's my fingerprint on there. And so I remove that stuff. But like, to be selling a card that if I did one of these chemicals on it, a collector may down the road say, dude, the card's purple now. What the hell did you put on this? Like, I don't want that back on me in that case, no matter what, for anything that I'm selling. So to me, I would not want this chemical, that balm that he's about to use, on any card I sell. And the problem is, somebody cracks something out of there, you could be also buying it, not in a slab anymore. Because there are people that buy a crack and they could just be like, I don't want this anymore. And all of a sudden you're buying it and you don't know that substance has been on there because someone did it years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Ryan cracks slabs all the time because he doesn't want something in his slab. He wants it in his binder, which is one of the reasons. This guy right here is one of the reasons that I have some binders going right now, is because
nice.
you and Wax Museum. So I completely get that. I want to go over a little bit on this one, but
okay.
I'm gonna slightly play a devil's advocate here, but not necessarily because I agree with this, but just to throw out this perspective. I know there's a lot of people out there who are dealers, who are shows, who are trying to flip. Now, I may not care about flipping. I don't watch the content of flipping. It doesn't interest me. I have zero interest in that. From their perspective, the floodgates have been opened at this point. They are trying to make money. It's tough to be really mad at these people for trying to get 10s, because the people who are buying 10s are paying what they're paying. So if these people are taking advantage of the system of the buy, sell, trade, flip market and cleaning cards, selling them, getting 10s, and that, it's very tough for me to put a blame on them, because the floodgates are open. This shit is everywhere. Multiple brands now. Everyone's doing it. You see cleaners at shows. Like, I have a ton of people on my Instagram who do this as a fee, and I'm not into it. But like, dude's grinding. He's trying to get 10s. So can I blame him? I can't. I can express that I don't like it, and it's not something that I would want to own. But you see what I'm saying by it's tough to be mad at him?
Yeah.
I think I heard an interesting perspective on this, is that if you took two cards, one that was legitimately a 10 by just wiping it down with microfiber cloth, and one where you had to do a bunch of work to it, you had to soak it, you had to remove dents, which one would you actually want if you knew that one had all that work done? I would say probably 99% of people are going to probably want the one that was just out of the pack, right?
For sure.
So in a way, you're kind of devaluing the card as a whole. If there's only so many that may have gotten 10s because they had a bunch of print defects or something like that. But now you're introducing all these ones where you can create a 10. Where does the demand go? Like, you're basically saying that this is only a flip.
Right.
It's never going to be, valued because it was hard to get a 10. We just create the 10, so then we have a bunch of them, and now where's the value? So I thought somebody brought that up, I think, in one of my videos.
Where's the line with the edge tool, and with soaking, and with just the juice, or with trimming? I mean, like, where do we draw the line of like what is okay and what is not? And even if we did, once again, I feel like the floodgates are opened now, and people are going to do this whether we like it or not.
I'll say as one last thing to kind of finish on it as well, is the other perspective I've heard is that looking at sports cards like their artwork, and there's restoration of fine pieces of art. And I do understand that from a perspective on unique, like one-of-a-kind scenarios. If, for example, like if there was I'll just use like vintage as it, and there was, let's say Babe Ruth only had one card that we could actually have, because every other one was destroyed. And there was only one card of Babe Ruth to remember him by. Do we restore it, or do we let it fade away into oblivion and disappear? And holding that piece of history, do we want to do that kind of a thing? But then it's like, but we're talking about like the modern stuff. Like, there are things that, how many true one-of-ones are there of a unique scenario?
People are not using this type of product for preservation purposes.
That's what people are. That's one of the opinions, though, that's out there that I think is driving.
But if you don't know what the material is, how could you know if it's actually going to preserve it?
That's part of the problem, is that the people are saying assumption. That. Yeah, okay. They're assuming it's preserving it because they're making it a 10 and making it as beautiful as it should be.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, that's not the same thing, guys. You're talking about restoring a painting that is fading away, and we won't be able to see, versus a card that there are versions of it that are perfect, that we can see.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a weak argument, the art thing, because it's totally separate, and people want to make that comparison. And I also think, just to go into the restoration thing, if it was labeled restored, which they do for comic books, so if they're heavily restored, they actually label that once it's graded. I think CGC does that. That would be perfect. So if PSA wants to adopt that, and then that card was restored, I think they could adopt something like that, and that's kind of a newer thing for comic grading as well.
They already have an authentic.
Push for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's the main thing of grading, isn't it?
Huh?
I said that's the main thing of grading, is making sure it's authentic and that it's got everything transparent on it, so you know what's happened to it. That would be...
For us, I guess, collecting. For people that are flipping it, they want to see a number. They're not really collecting the card, they're collecting...
Yeah.
Maybe they have an alternative grading scale where it's authentic, restored, numbered 1 to 10, and so you might have people that just collect restored ones. The collectors we all have our unique quirks, and if they're cheaper, you could have a bunch of people who are like, I have all restored 10s for my collection versus perfect 10s.
I would buy a restored card in a slab, but that's once again because I'm not going for a number as a collector.
Yeah.
So it's really weird when you see like collectors of 10s. It's just so weird when I see collectors of 10s, and I'm like, why? Like you're collecting someone's subjective opinion, on a certain day at a certain time. I don't know, but who knows? Yep. We should move on.
All right.
Because we all ranted.
We could go for a while on that one.
Yeah. But before we go, though, I recommend anyone viewing to go check out Ryan's channel, mindcycle_cards on YouTube, where he does several in-depth details of Kurt's card care and the cleaning and the responses and stuff like that. So,
absolutely.
All right. What else we got going on, Brian?
So for the next thing on here, we're kind of going into the Fanatics Live Collectors Club, and all rolled into, is Fanatics kind of making a gambling addiction in the hobby now?
Ooh.
And this is something that I think we all have some passionate kind of voices to talk on this. There's something on the hobby boards, I think, even including this. So, Ryan, I know you kind of were talking a little bit about this. You mentioned it to us. Do you want to kick this one off and tell us your opinion to start it?
Yeah, we were looking at the date when that thread was posted. I think it was one of the first threads that came when we created the hobby section of the hobby boards. And this was basically when Fanatics Live was introduced. And a lot of people saw that as, okay, well, we know Fanatics and Michael Rubin want to 10x the hobby. How are they going to do it? And then Fanatics Live. Oh, okay, so that's how they're going to do it, by essentially creating a card casino, So that topic has been pretty well, updated. A lot of responses to it. We do get to update it quite often because there's just new things that keep coming out that keep basically pointing towards the fact that they are trying to get into the gambling space. We've already heard Michael Rubin say that he wants to get into sports betting. So I almost see Fanatics Live as like a springboard into sports betting for him. So that seems quite apparent to anybody that's kind of been following it. But the whole deal with PSA now is that, what is it exactly? Do you have a slide on that, Frank? I think it was that they were introducing some break credit or something like that if you join PSA.
Basically, you get you have to pay a little bit more money, starting at a certain date, but you get some credit for it. But a lot of people are complaining that they don't want to use that credit. So I mean, I'm not in the collectors club because I don't submit solo, and I don't do breaks, so I have zero interest in Fanatics Live. So, but I mean, I'm the outlier. I realize a lot of people are super into wasting their money in breaks when they could get singles. But
Hey, you know, I've
Fanatics
broken the
might be mad
past.
at me for that one.
Yeah, and I don't have a ton against breaking necessarily because I've done it in the past, but it was mainly when you could buy. I think in what was it, 2014, you could buy the whole Nuggets in like a case of NT for $60.
60? Okay. In
Yeah,
2014?
yeah, yep. And so that's
In a case?
honestly like a lot of a case. And now
Okay.
boxes are what, $10,000? I think they ended up being this year for that was flawless. I don't remember what NT
No,
was.
some
I
of the
don't really
others will
follow
be
it too
that.
much,
Like,
but-
you figure $900 for a Panini, for a Prism, like, hobby box. How many are in a case? Like, you're probably getting close to 10 grand for one when it's 900 per hobby box.
I mean,
Yeah,
it just,
I stopped.
I have no interest in any of it, so that's why, like, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on them raising the prices. From, like, a business level, I understand that they do it. They're trying to make money. That's what a business does.
Yep.
But no interest. I'm sorry, Ryan. What were you saying?
Oh no, you're good. I was just saying, I stopped probably 2-3 years into doing it when prices just got kind of crazy. Even for nobody's collecting the Nuggets in 2016 or 2015.
No.
So yeah, I was getting cheaper than your big market teams or whatever in breaks, but it just got to the point where I'm like, man, I could buy singles and get the card that I really want for probably the same cost as a couple breaks,
Yeah.
So I think people hopefully eventually figure that out, but I think it is addicting, and so you have to look at it from that perspective. And they get your hooks in you, and you're there every night,
Yeah,
spending all your money on it. It's kind of scary in a way,
Yeah. I mean,
So yeah,
For me
I see
on
it
this
from the
topic,
perspective. Oh yeah, go ahead, Brian. I don't want to cut you.
oh,
off there.
yeah, you finish your thought on it, and then I'll jump in, because I've got a rant to kind of
Okay.
go on with this.
Brian Rant incoming.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that I get it from the business standpoint, but I think we're going to see a lot more of this from Fanatics. Is my guess is that they're going to try to integrate the Fanatics Live, the whole breaking experience, because really, how do you keep interest in a hobby that's still gaining momentum, but has lost a lot of momentum from like the pandemic boom and all that? Well, you have to have people like chase these big cards, like the 101 LeBron, Bronny. Right, that was a big one, the Tom Brady one or whatever. They value them at these crazy prices, millions of dollars, and then they don't really sell for that. But you got to keep that ball rolling, because I'm assuming Fanatics bought in, at the top and paid quite a sum of money. So they're going to go all in on that. And that's my thought process in that.
Yeah. And then that's kind of the unfortunate side, is that we know that it's just going to snowball from there, but it's like, when I first read this and saw this, I'm just like, first thing I always thought is like, this is why we have history in like high school and that. It's not to learn boring things that happened in the past. It's so we don't repeat the same mistakes. And here we are, repeating basically a similar mistake that the video game path went down a few years ago, because they got banned in Europe because European countries saw these pack-based games that are virtual sports cards, games that were getting kids addicted to buying packs virtually to build their teams. And with those kids purchasing those packs constantly, it was like this constant gambling addiction with it. And now here in sports cards, putting it on this and making it there where there's no regulation of who or what age you can do it on, kids can do this. And it just ties back to like a show I went to where I saw a kid come in and he bought some slabs at the show and was trying to sell them to a dealer. And he was so addicted to the money that he had aggressively attacked like the dealer, who had several other deals going on. He's like, I have to finish these 2 deals and I'll come back, and I'm interested, but I gotta look up the comps on these cards. And the kid was so addicted to the money of what these things were going to get him, and that he's, everything is about money, money, money with this. And seeing a 10-year-old kid so obsessed with money that he grabbed the stack and walked off pissed and went to every dealer to get his money back I'm just like, first off, how did he have the money to get that? Where did he get it for? What did he sell to, do that? Which maybe he bought into breaks and had a bunch of stuff into that and whatever it was. But overall, you can see kids at an early age can get addicted to this, and it leads to, do we want kids really being involved in something that is not regulated, that they can basically look at and see as an addicting problem of gambling on getting cards by buying into breaks constantly? Because, hey, here, now you get money from collectors too when you're just submitting your cards for grading, and everybody just go into breaks, whether you're 10, 12, 13 years old, and you're not allowed to gamble. It's a version of gambling that anybody any age can do, and it's the same avenue video games did. And the only thing is if it's happening here, will we regulate it? And the answer is probably no.
I think Brian's got that fatherly instinct. I'm sure Ryan's got a little bit of that too, right? Because like you guys both have kids, so you see how easily influenced these children are with things, and yeah.
Absolutely.
One last little topic. I know we got the bell, or one little last thought on it is that it's interesting that you say games, because Michael Rubin actually tried to get into that space. So more like along the lines of NFTs, like the games that you would play with NFTs and, get cryptocurrency or whatever. That was some of the seed money that he started for that project that he took and actually used to buy into the card industry. So there's an interesting article on Bloomberg that goes over all that. I think I posted it on my Instagram today. But yeah, it's he tried to get into that space, but he realized it was too oversaturated and he couldn't do much in it. So he pulled his money out and then went and bought all the sports cards license.
The NBA one made a lot of money, right? Where it was just you were buying video clips.
Oh, like the Top Shot?
Is that what it was called? I
remember that being a big thing for a while. Yeah.
People were spending thousands of dollars on that. So does it surprise me that they would try to get into doing some type of NFT? Because imagine how much money the NBA and the company that licensed the technology to do something like that made off of that. They made a lot of money, I'm sure. But
he may have just got in at the wrong time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they probably backed out because now the ship is also sailed on NFTs. So, yeah. As you mentioned, there was a lot of competition in that space.
Yeah, there was, and it's just one of those things that I think even the guy they had when they went into sports card, wasn't it Lupin or something like that?
Luber, yeah.
Luber. Oh. Wasn't he like a background in gambling, sports gambling or something like that? And that's when he was
he was kind of like in that
the card spot.
Hustle culture type deal. Same with Gary Vee. I think I actually in that Bloomberg article again, like those two guys approached Michael Rubin as far as that article goes. That they were the ones that told him, "Hey, get into the card market. You can get in there and make some money." So
I saw that reported within the last couple of days. I can't remember like who reported it or whether it's relevant or not, whether it's actually true or not, but
I've seen similar articles as well. It was him and Gary Vee were the two big people that pushed Rubin to do this.
I can't remember where was that from. Who reported on that or who mentioned it?
It's coming from a Bloomberg article.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so maybe we can. It's behind a paywall, unfortunately, but you can get little snippets of it here and there. But yeah, that's where it originated from, and then people have been like retweeting it and stuff like that. So I think that's probably what you've seen.
Well,
all right.
We were earlier. Maybe we should have matched these up. Maybe I should have fixed my order here. But I think we got to get on to the next topic, right?
Yeah, let's move on. We could keep going for hours.
It's kind of
another one you could talk about forever.
You're right. It's kind of going back to something we talked about a little earlier.
Meaning effect.
So Brian had mentioned this earlier. Wrong one. He had mentioned this Instagram video to me from Java Cards, and I know that I had seen or heard Kyle from Wax Museums talk about it on his channel as well, which is what I showed there a second ago. So definitely something to check out if you are interested in hearing some details here. But Mind Cycle has some experience as well. Before the show even started, he was showing us his 93, 94 finest binder. You got it handy?
Oh,
Should we see if it would show up? Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, whether it shows up or not, it's guy's got some experience.
Good old greened, 93 finest there. And as you go through, I got chrome in there too that are all greened up. But yeah, I think those were due to the chemicals that they used in the card. So I believe, was it Kyle? Or it might have been Kyle that went over that topic as well. But Cardboard Chronicles, I think, also did an interview with maybe one of the designers. Or was it Kyle that did it? I get mixed up who did it. But
it's been about 3 or 4 months since I watched. So
yeah, well, basically one of the card manufacturers or the designers or something like that basically said that it's likely, the most likely scenarios, that was due to the chemicals that they used in the actual cards. So they reacted with each other over time, and that's what causes the greening.
And certain bits faded out over time as well, because when you look at them in detail, it's like missing certain pigments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the color's kind of lost, or it gets faded, or whatever you want to call it. But a lot of people thought, oh, maybe it's due to humidity, maybe it's due to sunlight. But the most probably accepted answer at this point is that it was just the chemicals that they used for those couple of years, 93 through probably 97.
97, 98.
Yeah, I think that's probably like the last year that it was super prevalent. But yeah, definitely those 93 finest and 94, 95. It's definitely the 96 chrome that everybody loves.
Oh, yeah.
Like where you saw the code, I got a really greened up Steve Nash that I love it. But yeah, it's super green.
Steve Nash
It
Hulk.
just looks like the Hulk.
yeah.
The Canadian Hulk.
Yeah.
Such a great time of cards, and like to see that happen to them, it's just a shame to see. But it's brand new sets. They didn't know this was going to happen when they were building them. But like when I used to work in printing, it was magazines and stuff like that. When you're using the 3 different colors to print with, like you always have black as like one to add the shading in, and you can kind of see in old newspapers how an old newspaper with time, that black will fade into kind of like a greenish color in some newspapers, depending on the paper they're printed on. And so it's a chemical compound of like time, age, and the type of paper, you name it. And if you put the right mixture together, as like these guys are kind of trying to basically do with science in there, like they're not doing Kurt's Card Care, but they are literally taking cards. They are literally taking cards and like cracking them, or just buying like cheap 93, 94 finest and throwing them in solutions and trying to break down what is the cause. I think when I watched their video, it's only a few minutes long, but they say that they have more tests they're going to run to finalize, because they didn't have a complete solution, but they did confirm like slabbing them, putting like the humidity, all that kind of stuff is not going to prevent it. It is going to happen because of the chemical compounds in the paper and everything, that there's something that's making those cards do that. And with time, we're unfortunately going to see that
taking time bomb.
And this is something that I was going to mention when we were talking about it earlier, but I thought it would be better said here, is regarding with the Kurt's Card Care, like that can't get this out and it can't prevent it. So they corrected themselves after several years and went to a different format, and they have not had that problem again. And we rarely see any type of thing like this. Like, yes, we see some like yellowing on some acetate cards, some 1990s plastic, like big surprise, it's going to go a little bit yellow. It's of course, but for the most part, like we don't see that on like cards anymore. So it's tough for me to rely upon any product when the card manufacturers have been doing this for, 70, 80 years of experience over time. and especially over the last 35 to 40 with dealing with different inks, since printing has changed so much. But like with all the different inks, with all the different textures, formats, card companies now are probably way better than they were in the 90s when it comes to making sure a card is going to remain over a long period of time and be good and safe. So I trust that I'm going to buy a pack of cards, and in 20 years or 30 years, I'm not going to have Anthony Edwards Hulk,
Right.
or I'm not going to have, Trevor Lawrence Hulk card. So, but who knows if we're adding any type of material. So I know it's kind of related to Kurt's Card Care, but both topics are pretty similar in relevance, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's where like it's getting back to that one, it was almost like if he is adding that same chemical compound to the card to protect it or like fill it in the gaps and so on. Here's what can happen if he gets the wrong chemical compound in there, is that Topps already figured it out that they don't want those on there for a reason. And unfortunately, like for those sets of the greening effect of it's like we were saying, it is a ticking time bomb. It's going to happen to these cards. You're going to see it. And, we're, for us in the last episode that we did talking about 90s basketball, it's unfortunate because these are iconic sets that we love and really cherish what it is. But maybe that's where they put the sepia kind of like new alternates, because sepia is kind of what kind of origin. Like,
Sepia's
I don't mind it, but hey,
tan or black and white tan, but I randomly start laughing because I watch these videos and it makes me think of cards that I have in my collection right now that have the most obnoxious green blotches on them. Oh, I love the Topps and Topps Chrome 90s basketball insert Destiny, and I have I have a Stephon Marbury. There was big old blotch right on his face, and only his face, not on his whole body, but just like just right here on his face. Oh man, if I'm editing this video, I'll slap it in. It was absolutely hilarious. But yeah, good timing because we're running out of time. We've got to move on. And did you guys have anything else to say? It's fine if you do.
I think we covered that one pretty well.
Everyone, go check out Kyle's. A Wax Museum Kyle's video, or it's an audio form. I'm gonna put it up on screen one more time. Go check out this video from Wax Museum.
Yeah, that's a good video.
He does a really good job of it. I love the caption of it too. I like the radar look Hulk screen. Is that
Rick Smith's like the
very good thumbnail.
Great thumbnail, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you didn't want to hear about basketball, get ready. Because
more basketball.
We're talking about basketball. Do you guys, because I'm going to just say right now, I do not know all the names on this list, and I have not done my research on every name on this list. I did a little bit. But do you guys know all the names on this list or no?
The big names I know.
Are we casuals?
Yeah, some of the like Billups, Carter. There's some coaches on there that I was doing a little bit of research on because I didn't quite know. I mean, Michael Cooper, Walter Davis.
Yeah, Michael Cooper was really good defensively in the NBA before he was a coach.
Yeah.
So I can see that, and I cannot believe Walter Davis is not in already.
I know, that was surprising to me as well.
Yeah.
Seeing that, and even actually Michael Cooper, seeing him not in there yet was actually surprising. So, Billups and Carter, I mean, they got to get in, man. I mean, I don't think there's any way that wouldn't happen. But
I mean, this has got to be Vince Carter's first time, right? He's a first ballot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in. We all know Vince Carter is number one on this entire list. He's in.
Yeah.
Walter Davis has been waiting
the time and the number of teams that he played on. I mean, come on.
And how long? He played for so long. Oh man. Yeah, he had to. So he had to wait. What is it? Is it 5 years in basketball like it is in football? You got to wait 5 years before you're eligible.
Yeah, and that might be where he's coming up now, just because. I mean, He's
He didn't retire too long ago. It felt like.
It's like
yeah. I mean, it
14,
feels like that. I'm
15
sure
or
it's been a
something?
while. Yeah.
yeah, it was. I
Yeah, I
can't
think
remember
that's-
his last year. I mean, I remember it happening. But we know Carter's getting in. I don't know how they narrow down, because we're looking at the finalists list, right? So let me go back to the beginning on here. So we're looking at the finalists, which is 14, and of course they're across multiple categories. I don't remember offhand. I love basketball. It's my number 2, but I don't remember basketball like I do football. So I don't know the format of Hall of Fame on how many they go from finalists to inducted. In football, there's usually 15 finalists, and they narrow it down to 5. And I'm talking like modern era. So, I don't know how it is
I
in
think that's
basketball.
similar to
but-
basketball, but yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly how it's done. But yeah, it's something similar to what you're talking about there. But yeah, if you ask me to, say if any of those coaches deserve it or any of that, I don't
I
have
mean,
a whole ton
so
of
Jerry
opinion on
West
it,
is in as a player, and he's in as a or he's being a finalist
Yeah.
as a contributor now.
yeah, and it's some role that he had, not as a player.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's already
Doug
as a
Collins
player,
was a
but-
coach for a long time, but he wasn't the greatest coach. I mean, I think he had a pretty even record. And then as a player, I think he was okay. He was like average. I don't think he was a huge all-star guy, and he's not in as a player. So, but Doug Collins did a lot of broadcasting though, so I think that's why he's in as
Yeah.
contributor for both coach and broadcaster. So I don't know. Doug Collins might be worthy. I was never like
Yeah,
a
we
huge.
need Kyle, man.
I
We
know,
need Kyle
right?
from Wax Museum. He probably knows all this.
Get him. Yeah.
his
Well, we should
Basketball
get him in
knowledge
here.
is crazy.
If he wants to do some video, we'll get some video here.
Get some clips.
Right? I'll do with Kyle what I did with you and get you showing your face on camera. Do we think so? I don't know how many they narrow it down to. So what I was trying to think is like we could say who we think is going to get in, but also I don't know anything about hardly anything about college basketball, like in the history. And I know a decent amount on women's basketball and a small amount on international basketball. So there are obviously people on this list that I'm not going to have the same expertise as, everybody else and their mom with the NBA guys. But I mean, I think we can all agree Vince Carter's getting in guaranteed, like first ballot.
Yeah.
I don't think this is Chauncey Billups' first year. I think he's been on for a while on the ballots, but not like a finalist. So
To see him get in, I don't see why he couldn't.
same, but does he deserve it?
A championship?
Yeah.
He's got a decent number of accolades. I always liked him on the Nuggets. I mean, I'm biased. he led us to conference finals. I think that was like 08 or something like that. I always appreciate that from him.
He was
And
a PC of my best friend in 6th grade.
Yeah, he was a Colorado. He played in Colorado college. So college
Okay.
ball.
Yeah. I mean, because I was Duncan that year when he was Billups. Because I watched Duncan at Wake Forest, and me and my group of friends would call players. So like my same friend that PC'd Stephon Marbury, PC Chauncey Billups. And I was calling Tim Duncan before he was drafted. So so like we all would do that. We had I had a group of friends we all collected, and we would call certain guys to collect in their rookie year. So I watched Chauncey Billups' early career quite a bit. Because I didn't really stop watching basketball on a regular basis until probably 2006 or so. Mainly because I got frustrated with how the game was being played after seeing the 80s and 90s era for so long, and then it was a lot of fouls and flops, and that turned me off for a while. So I didn't really get to see Chauncey Billups' end of his career. But I would like to see him get in, but I don't know if he'll get in right away. Even still, he's been waiting a while.
Yeah, well, while you guys were talking, I was just kind of looking it up, and it looks like it's actually 4 years for retirement free NBA.
Okay.
And then they are up to 1 enshrinee is all it is. So they don't have to, but 1 is what they would like to do, and they can have more than 1. So there's no set number on enshrinees.
But there's usually like 2 or 3 per year at least, right?
Yeah, they're better than baseball. Baseball's the one that, like, some years they don't have any. And so at least they get somebody in. But it says their only rule is that for the nomination is to have up to 1 enshrinee for the Basketball Hall of Fame annually.
Okay. So they only have to do 1.
Yeah. But at least in that
scenario. Is it sports writers voting it? Sports writing and players like the NFL or like I should say not NFL, but
haven't found that yet. I'll keep looking while you guys are talking, but yeah, like doesn't say that of who votes in.
What kind of show is this? We don't have this information already? Who's producing this stuff?
It's all my fault.
Hey, we're all just individuals. We know what we know. As long as we're not claiming we know something we don't, we're good. I can't believe Walter Davis is not in already.
That's surprising. Yeah.
So I don't know. Cool. Are we ready to move on? I know we're getting close. We're trying to speed this up for everybody too.
Yeah.
Not just for us.
Anyway.
Good timing. We're moving on to the mailbag, which I read because I have resolution that can see it better than these guys. All right. This is from, speaking of the hobby boards, this is a nice gentleman who has commented a couple times on this channel. And he's on the hobby boards. He is appreciated. Great episode, guys. This is on the last episode, by the way. Great episode, guys. Really enjoyed the basketball focus, obviously. Even though I'm the odd duck that doesn't feel the same way you do about 90s cards, because back then I collected mostly Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and some baseball base sets. I got into basketball in 2009, so for me, early Panini has the same nostalgia you guys have for the 90s. So big shout-outs to SacrammentoKingsCards for that. First off, I think that's because we are older. We are old, and you are not. So when we did baseball cards when we were a kid, that was like the late 80s. So
we all thought we had something in our hands. We're like, oh, I got this rookie card. And now we realize there's 14 trillion
Fleer.
of them.
Remember 90 Fleer? Was that the year they had the yellow background?
91 Fleer baseball?
That's 91, yeah.
Urine border. You know what? You ever come back on the show and co-host again, Mind Cycle? I'm going to have a 91 Fleer baseball card on the graphic just waiting for you, dude.
I'm looking forward to it. That'd be awesome. I had so many of those. Oh, man.
Oh,
go on Facebook and find some of those for sale for $40 million.
Oh, yeah. On Facebook Marketplace.
Rare.
Yeah, I don't even count my period. I say collecting since 1990. I don't even count my time of buying 87 and 88 and 89 baseball as being a collector, because I was just a kid and I had baseball cards. I didn't know anything. I didn't really start collecting until 1990. I think I picked up a Beckett and I was done. I was in. I was hook, line, and sinker. But yeah, Sacramento Kings cards. He's on the hobby boards. He's pretty cool, huh, Ryan?
Yeah, I like his idea. At some point, if I come back on, we should talk about that 2010s era, right when Panini took over the license, because there's a lot of cool stuff, like early Panini stuff. There's some really cool sets there, so I think we could have fun talking about that.
I think we could have a very fun contrarian opinion talking about that then.
Yeah.
Right.
Panini prior to like 16, 17 has always been my favorite, but those early years when they were like actually trying.
First year Prism is not bad. What was that, 14, 15?
12, 13.
12, 13, okay.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Maybe it was the first 2 years of Prism is not bad before it became Panini Borders. And 60 to 70% of the card was a border.
They overdid it a little in recent years.
It's also the same card over the last four years too.
Yeah, you can. It mirrors that, we kind of talked about that in another episode of like how they kind of mirror each other in the sports, where it's like everything where, you know, there is that mirroring, but when it's like every year mirrored for like the last 4 years, where every sport they make is exactly the same,
or every product they make throughout the entire thing, like Panini, they use the same design for Mosaic and the same design for Donruss, and the same design for, you know, Prism, and the same design for every sport. Whereas at least back in the day, or even Tops now, they only do it for like one, maybe two products, and then everything else is still different. So,
Well, no, Panini got lazy. You saw it. They were printing money for a while. So, I mean, why did you need to do anything cool or different?
We could have a whole hour on Panini for sure. But we're going to have you for another episode anyway, because we're going to want to follow up after the Hall of Fame announced. So good reason to have you back. As long as we haven't heard too much. You know, oh my God, so sick of Ryan. I'm just kidding.
Talks forever about the most obscure things.
All right. Next up, Trading Frames. He is back on the mailbag, which he will be joining us pretty soon. So shout outs to Trading Frames. Frank, and this was on the SGC PSA stuff. I think he heard what I mentioned about like giving him the budget option. He says, Frank, I agree with your stance on the SGC acquisition, as when I first heard the news, I thought this is a way for PSA to maximize their prices. See, he was thinking like I was, like their business capitalism to the max, baby. With PSA being the top graded service, I feel like they will raise their prices and make PSA the elite grading service. And then we'll use SGC as a lower, more cost-efficient service. I think we will start seeing more SGC than Beckett, even though Beckett is already falling in ranks. Yes, that's true, in the hobby, and at shows. I feel PSA will make a limitation as to what will be graded to, and use SGC for more base cards and base rookies, cards valued at $25 or less. Yeah.
We'll agree.
We'll see. They're going to do whatever they can to make money. So, but wanted to spotlight that.
I mean, with all the price increases and everything, you can kind of see, like, there was that one thing I talked about in that segment about this is a push to get X amount of money before they go public with collectors and everything. And, gimme. You see everything they're doing is all about, like, making more money. So it's 100% sounding like that's not... That rumor that was... I shouldn't say it's a rumor. It was a source that went to Junk Wax Hero and told him this is what's happening. They didn't say want to be named, but he was allowed to say it. So he was basically saying, here's the facts I have from a source that this is a push for public, announcement, and then collectors will be there. And at that point in time, we see everything else going of just making more money, increasing their prices and everything like that. It's like, that 100% aligns with that source, and looks like in, 1-2 years, or however long it takes.
Prepare once your they anus, go public. Or, your wallet. Prepare your wallet.
Yeah, prepare it. But the only thing like that would be good to hopefully see out of it is that if they do go public and so on, that SGC, even if they're going to disappear, they, like you said, Frank, there's a lower tier grading tier then for like that, because that's the only thing that'll save it. Otherwise, if everything's like, oh, degrade your cards now, whether it's up to this value, it's $500. If your card's worth $500, you gotta pay $500.
There was a lot of grading companies that popped up during the pandemic. I have a feeling if PSA raises prices again, like they did during the pandemic, we know what's going to happen, right? There are going to be a lot of other companies' slabs at card shows and on eBay. Whether you want to buy them or not, that's on you. If you're going for the PSA 10s, I'll take a CSG 9. I don't care. That's cool. I'll stick it in my slab collection. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. Yep.
But I'm not everybody, and people want, who knows. But I don't know. If they raise prices too much, at least there's no exclusivity deal here. Like, PSA does not is not the only official licensed place you can grade cards, and that's not going to be possible. You're not going to, like a league signing an exclusive deal. There's always going to be companies pop up as long as the market is able to be competitive. If a grading company pops up and they have CSG quality slabs and they're $12 each and they're doing a pretty good job from people's opinions, and there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to want to pay 35, 40, 45, $50 a card. Exactly. even on bulk service, 30, 40 $40 for a bulk service, because they're going to raise prices. It's just a matter of when that line is, where they're going to stop. Because I'm old, I remember $4 a card.
Oh my God!
$4 a card. So, I mean, it's with their bulk specials that they run now, you can get them for what, $17 if they're under a certain value.
Yeah, that's about usually the lowest it goes. So, kind of like what you said to earlier of like the dealers at shows or anybody that's flipping for profit and things like that. Can you blame somebody for using a new pop-up that they like? For example, if someone came here and was in Phoenix and they're like, $10 a card, I'll grade them. You just got to drop them off or whatever. Like, you're going to see people doing that because they're going to be like, I want to make more money than what the card's worth, and take a raw card, turn it into graded, and sell it for a higher price, even if it's not PSA. It's Bob's brand grading company.
I've been saying this for 3 or 4 years. Actually, I think it was 2021. I posted an Instagram story of me with a blank slab that I bought and a black and white label that I printed out from using my thermal printer as a test. And I said, I want to start slabbing my own cards with a basic like this. It was a very simple, probably 5, stroke border on the outside. It was exactly like PSA's. And I would just get an ultrasonic welder and I'd just start grading my own cards. So grab the microscope, put the I could even do videos on my channel. Be like, hey guys, today we're going to grade these 2 cards. Now I'm not selling them. They're going straight in my box. But I ain't sending them to anywhere else for grading either. We got all the equipment right here. Let's do it. So I got, I got a little microscope, and then I'll check it out in the microscope and go through all the steps I could possibly research and find and check out and everything like that. Put it in, put my label in, slab it down, right all on camera. I think that would be a really cool, fun experience. And it would all be for my PC, so it wouldn't matter. It would just be doing
because after all grading's just an opinion anyway.
Exactly.
So people forget that.
Now,
but that's really what it is.
Judging my own collection, I would try to be as objective as possible. I mean, you can only be so objective when it's your own stuff, probably like subconsciously. I don't know. But I would legitimately try. I wouldn't care if I had 6 on a centering. If I have 7 centering on my LeBron James rookie, Chrome rookie, I don't care. Like, who cares? It's 60-40. I know it's 60-40. I'm not going to grade it a 9 or a 10.
Yeah.
So treatment for you.
Yeah. Why would I want to give myself preferential treatment instead when I could be objective?
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not trying to make money. So, anyway.
I'm going to go with the Frank's grading service for
hell yeah. I'll do
when you start it out, so let me know.
I will try to be as objective as possible. I won't be perfect. I probably won't be as good as PSA or BGS or whatever, but I'll try. No, I would just do it for free anyway. Enough, guys. We gotta jet. Time is a wasting. Mind Cycle's got sleep to get. And hopefully we won't go another 3 weeks before the next show. Life happens. We're doing what we can. This is the hobby. You want to be on here? Hit us up. InsideTheHobbyShow@gmail.com, or hit us up on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok. I guess.
Yeah, I guess you can go on there. There's not many people on TikTok. Like, people watch our stuff there, but not many people from who we follow everywhere else. Instagram.
Yeah, it's a completely different crowd.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do TikTok personally, guys. I can't do it. I'm too old. I recognize that. I
I'm
will
in the
accept
same
it.
boat.
All right.
I'll take your word for it. That it's on
Alternate
there.
universe Frank is on there more.
Hey, thank you for joining us for co-hosting for a second straight episode, by the way, Mind Cycle.
Absolutely,
thank you.
Where can
Thanks for
people
having me on.
find out about more of your stuff and the hobby boards?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, check out thehobbyboards.com. Check out my YouTube channel, Mind Cycle Cards, Underscore Cards. Got some stuff coming on the way. So thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone.